Medical problems are a daily part of the Camino, but so many of these issues are avoidable. In this episode of Don't Stop Walking, we're looking at blister care, so you don't have to stop walking. I'll start by quoting the golden blister rule. Prevention is the best option. Anything else sucks badly and stings like a herd of fire snakes chewing your toes. The trick is to prepare properly before you leave home, so you can minimize your risk of blisters and other foot ailments and save yourself a lot of time, pain, and money on your adventure. Footwear. Get them professionally fitted, as these are specialty items. Correct your gait. Find out if you have high arches or flat feet, and get corrective orthotic insoles to support. Get braces and supports as needed. Apply Engo patches to friction points inside your shoes. Buy or build a blister kit. Train in the field. Go on walks with your new shoes with a loaded pack. Go to the gym, just to be controversial, so you can build up your physical strength and resistance and perhaps lose a little excess weight. I have another episode of Don't Stop Walking called Fantastic Boots and Where to Find Them for tips on choosing the right boots. Blisters are fun bubbles of fluid which collect in pockets under your skin. They're inconvenient, painful, and prone to infection, so let's try to avoid getting them at all. The commonly held belief is that blisters form from a combination of heat, friction, and moisture. But an alternate and very compelling theory is that it's caused by internal mechanical shear under the skin that causes micro tears which fill with liquid. In this video, I'm focusing on reducing heat, friction, and moisture. There are two schools of thought on blister prevention. They are dry and wet. The dry school suggests you should keep your feet as dry as possible. So this will include changing your wet socks in the middle of the day, powdering and drying your boots each night. Spend some time at lunch with your feet drying, unless you are in Galicia, where it is always raining and nothing will ever be dry again. The wet school suggests that you should lubricate your feet a lot. With this method, you cover your feet with a generous amount of petroleum jelly, which in theory reduces the amount of friction between your foot and the boot. Alternatives to petroleum jelly include products like Body Glide and Run Goo. These are less gooey than petroleum jelly and made specifically to ease the friction. They are also perfect for reducing chafing on other parts of your body, like your legs, waist, and bum. I've personally never used the wet method, but some people swear by it. Although the research suggests that it might cause brand new problems such as softening the skin, lack of traction, and gunking up your socks. Another way to reduce friction is by double socking. This means wearing a thin sock or liner inside the main sock, and you can even buy 2 layered socks. So you've done the best that you can, but you still think you're getting a blister. What can you do? If you are lucky, you'll notice a hot spot where the blister is forming. The friction point on your foot which is rubbing will be a little red and feel hot and uncomfortable. Stop everything. You can still stop this from turning into a blister, and that is ideal, but a hot spot can turn into a blister in a matter of minutes, so you really must act immediately. Treating a hot spot involves a few things. Check where the hot spot is forming and see if you can find a cause. Maybe there is dirt or a rock in your boot. Maybe your sock is bunched up. Whatever it is, try to fix it. Try to create an artificial barrier on the actual skin. Whether it is a gel sleeve between the toes or some medical tape, band-aids or Fix-A-Mole over the hot spot to protect the skin from that continuing friction. At this point, you are still blister-free, and honestly, you want to stay that way. Wait a second, did you know there are 17 other episodes of Don't Stop Walking, a pilgrim's guide to the Camino de Santiago? Check it out on Facebook, YouTube, or at beyondtheway.net. Ah, shit. I got a blister. Yeah, that happens. Your blister will have 3 stages: roof intact, roof torn, or de-roofed. If you are following the textbook, you want to keep the roof intact. This allows the area to heal and keeps all the nasty germs out. Nasty. You will probably want to deflect the pressure from the blister and cover it in an attempt not to burst it. You can use donut pads and tape to do this, creating a clean, cushioning barrier around the blister. Always avoid taping the roof of any blister. It will only end in tears. This is very by the book, and in my non-medical opinion, I don't think it's very sustainable. Especially if you're continuing to hike for a few weeks, that blister is probably going to burst. Just bursts gooey, bursty goodness. Most Spanish pilgrims I met suggested threading and draining the blisters. This is not by the book. The method here is to drain the blister of the fluid while keeping the roof intact. You do this by taking a sterilized thread and needle and threading it carefully through the skin roof. But you leave the thread in there, cutting off the excess thread. This leaves a channel for the liquid to drain. Alternative options are to puncture the roof of the blister with a sterile scalpel or syringe, but make sure you keep an eye on it afterwards for signs of infection. If you find yourself with a de-roofed blister, it's the perfect time to break open your Compeed. Just clean the area and dry, then apply the patch. It's a magical balm made of tooth fairies and unicorn horns and will help the blister heal while protecting it. And it comes away by itself when it's finished. Honestly, this stuff is made by wizards. There is conflicting advice on the use of Compeed. The makers suggest you should use it on any old blister. My research has suggested that it should only be used on de-roofed blisters. Take a look at this video I found of a Compeed removal gone wrong. The Compeed was clearly removed too early. Wait for it to come away by itself. I just threw up in my mouth a little. Like many things, there are many different methods, and everyone swears by the one they learnt from their great Aunt Betty, who was a Special Forces commando. It's difficult to know what works for you. So I'll come back to the golden foot rule. Prevention is the best option. Tell us your foot stories and leave us a few tips in the comments. And share and like and stuff.
Hello fellow pilgrims, I'm Alicia.
And I'm Alana, we're from Australia.
And we've just finished walking our very first Camino. I suppose tips from our Camino that we'd like to share with you. The first one would be second breakfast.
Second breakfast is a very real thing out here on the Camino.
It is, and it's important. It usually involves wine, maybe ice cream, bocadillo. Also, it's entirely possible to cut yourself on a sandwich. But the most important thing is be kind to your fellow pilgrim. Lead with kindness, walk with kindness, and share what you have.
Look after each other.
Share your Compeeds, share your thoughts, share your wine.
Enjoy your Camino, and most of all, don't forget,
don't stop walking.
A big thanks to my Patreon supporters. A great resource for blister kits and information is blisterprevention.com.au.